Hello music makers, welcome back. So, arrangement. You've all been asking for an arrangement video. I can certainly see why. We've all been there, got a nice idea on loop, maybe a beat and a bass line, but no idea what to do next. Arrangement is what to do next. Let's go. In a basic sense, arrangement just means taking the various elements of your track, drums, bass, lead, etc., and putting them in a certain order. Sounds simple enough, but what order? Well, if you're not a live gigging DJ yet, you won't have an instinct for this. It's pretty hard to predict what's going to make a crowd go off without trying several iterations in a real live setting. Luckily for me, even though I'm just a studio hermit that rarely touches grass, I get to work with producers that do know that stuff. But what can we do when we don't have that? Easy. Let's steal one. Don't worry, there's nothing illegal about this. There's no copyright on the structure of a track. This is just another form of referencing. We don't just have to reference for mix purposes, like judging the bottom end. We can have a reference track purely for arrangement. And the good news is, because we are only referencing the structure of said track, we don't have to worry about sounding like this reference. Right, here is the one I have chosen. It's Left to Right by Odd Mob. The reason I've chose this track is, well, first, it's a banger. Secondly, it does a lot with very little. So for all of you who often find yourself making that excuse that the track isn't finished yet because it just needs one more thing, this is for you. Odd Mob's Left to Right is also great because it just uses all the simple DJ tricks. Basically all the tools you would have to hand on a typical DJ mixer. And that means a lot of what I'm about to show you is universal across pretty much any club genre. So let me talk you through the track. Now, I won't be able to play the original on its own for too long without getting a copyright strike, so I will have to talk over most of it. If you want to study the original without my interruptions, obviously there'll be a link in the description. Okay, 128 beats per minute, by the way. That means 8 bars is exactly 15 seconds, so nice neat chunks of time we can divide this up into. So our first 15 seconds is just drums. Nice and simple. We can ignore this brass stab hit thing because DJs are going to be mixing this in at this point. No one's going to hear that. So we keep it nice and simple for the DJ. There's not too much busy percussion. There's no potentially clashing musical parts still here. This is just drums and a very simple version of the drums. We bring in more drums later. So this is just the kick drum, the clap, the tom, and the hi-hat, the main groove, if you will. At 15 seconds, a few things come in. So the main hook comes in, which in our case here is a vocal. Right, left, right. Some extra shakers, and the sub, the bottom end of the track comes in basically. This track doesn't have a bass line, it's just a sub rumble. You can hear at this section it doesn't have it. And then here it does. Right, left, right. If I cancel out the kick drum, you'll hear it. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So at 15, our bottom end comes in. Little bit of extra percussion, and our main hook starts. Now, in terms of what we can apply to our track, even if we don't have a vocal, if our main hook is a synth riff or an ARP, then we bring that in, filtered. That's what we're going to do. So filtered main hook starts there at 15. That whole thing runs at 30 seconds. And then at 45 seconds, we have a build. I've put build in inverted commas here because it's probably the most minimal build ever. It's just a single synth note comes in and holds a single note for tension, and the main hook is still coming out of its filter. Right, left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. That's all it is, a held synth note or string, if you will, and the main hook coming out of the filter. Now, at a minute, we hit our first break. So this entire first minute, this is the extended mix, obviously. We're referencing a club track here, so this is the extended mix I'm using. The DJ can use this entire minute to mix in this track. Doesn't have to be just the first 15 seconds or the first 30. We've given them a full minute to get this track in. By a minute, the track will be fully mixed in. So this is where the track starts, if you will. And Odd Mob has decided to be super brave, and it's just the main hook. It's just the vocal. Right, left to right, left to right. Under the filter. And for this entire 60 seconds here, we just open the filter and add some delay. I think I can hear a little bit of white noise coming through, unless that's just the busyness added by the delays. Right, left to right, left, right, left to right. Just opening the filter, adding more and more delay. Right, till it gets really chaotic. And that lets us drop nice and what I call dry. So we're going to take that delay away and just drop with all the elements that we've teased so far back in together. The bass, the beat, and the vocal out of its filter, but without all of the effects on.
Right, left to right, left to right.
Now, I will say the only reason Odd Mob can do this, expose the hook so bravely and just basically add a delay and open the filter for an entire minute, the only reason he can do that is because the hook's really good. The vocal has a great rhythm, which lends itself to the delay, basically gives it extra percussive properties.
Right, left to right, left to right.
Gives it that rhythm. And obviously vocally it works for a dance crowd, basically giving them a dance move to try. All kinds of things going well for this. So we might not be able to steal this directly, just expose our hook like this. We might have to run some drums, but the principle of just having a build here, that's what we're going to steal. And then we drop. The only difference to this drop and say like the intro, the vocal is out of the filter now, but there's an extra hit.
Right, left to right, left to right.
That bass dong, that's pretty much the only bass part in this entire track. That bass dong is just there to mark the drop. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be a bass. It could be another brass stab hit like in the intro. He could use that. In fact, he does on the second drop. It could be a crash cymbal. It could be a white noise, blast, anything. Just put an extra hit there for impact. There's many ways we can do that. So the important thing is everything we teased comes back in together with an extra impact. Our first drop is basically 30 seconds long. For the second half of that, we have what I call the pickup.
Right, left to right, left to right, left to right.
And all that's happened here is an extra ride cymbal. We can pick up in many ways. It doesn't have to be extra percussion like this ride cymbal here. We can add an extra musical part, arpeggio. We can add something to the hook, like a question and answer. There's all kinds of ways we can pick up. The important part of the arrangement is that we've picked up interest, basically. You'll notice Odd Mob has basically added some kind of stab or noise every 2 bars.
Left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right, right, left to right.
Just picking up interest as well as that extra ride percussion. And then that gets us into the second break, the second build, if you will. This time we do run the drums, but we take all the low end out.
Right, left to right, left to right, left to right.
Again, another way of building tension. Remove something so we can add it back. And we also build with delay. This is also a kind of delay, but it's a different type of delay. It's a very fast one. It sounds like a ringing.
Right, left to right, left to right, left to right.
So just building with that more and more and more. Also, we are fading in the second hook because we're about to swap to the second hook for our second drop. And that's this different vocal.
You can't do it like me, no, so don't do it like me.
So we build out of the old hook, fade in the new hook, and swap to it for drop 2. Again, there's an impact stab.
You can't do it.
All the bottom end comes back in. Again, we don't have to have a vocal here. This could be another hook, another musical thing, or even percussion. Depends what the lead of your track is, like the lead element. That's what I'm referring to as hook. And then again, same idea on drop 2. We pick up halfway through.
You can't do it like me, no, so don't do it like me, no, you can't.
Laser noises. We don't have to take that noise element directly to our track. If it's appropriate to our genre, sure. But again, the point is we're adding interest for the second half. And then essentially the track is over here at 3 minutes 30 here. This is the outro. This is where the DJ is going to mix out. We also give the DJ, by the way, an opportunity to mix out here. This is why the drums run here.
Right, left to right, left to right.
Because if we just want to do a one drop, if we're performing this live, we have the opportunity to mix out here. But the outro,
Right, left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right.
back to the first hook, and it's going to, actually, it doesn't fade out. I would normally fade this out, but
Right, left to
Odd Mob just runs the hook for 30 seconds and then back to drums for 30 seconds. It's your discretion. The producer will usually fade the hook out for 30 seconds, and then you usually just leave them some drums. Again, nice and simple drums so that they can mix out and get the next track in cleanly. So that's the main principle of our arrangement. Let's apply it to one of our own. Okay, so my track sounds nothing like Odd Mob's. What I'm going to do is take the row minimal loop. I built this quick row minimal loop for the reverb video. Sounds like this. So it's nice and simple. We've got some simple drums. I have pickup options here. I've got just hi-hat and clap. I've got shakers I can bring in. Obviously, this is row minimal, so everything's going to be much lower energy than the odd mob track. Keep that in mind. Here's my ride cymbal type pickup. And I'll have to judge it later, but that might not be enough, so I've got another loop here, which just adds a little bit of texture to that ride cymbal. Then I have some extra percussion. You can see here I've got just a bunch of percussion noises. What I did was use a random acid generator, actually, to make me a pattern. And then also on this track, I've got random percussion. Just randomly, different bits. Basically, just it's going to be a layer of interest, which is kind of unpredictable. Our bass end is basically a tom part. Let me play it with the main beat so you get the idea. And then again, I was listening to randomly generated bass lines, and I just picked out some very sparse notes, which I liked. And then I got a bit greedy. I wanted some subtones. So I've got this bendy. It's just a filtered saw wave gliding between these notes, basically. And that altogether sounds like. Making sure none of them overlap. So that's kind of our main groove. Here are some extra elements I can bring in and out. I've got a similar bass dong type FM note to Odd Mob. So I can use that if I want. And then I've just gathered a bunch of noises and hits. You probably need around 10 for enough interest for 2 drops. It's literally just all kinds of noises. Going through a lot of reverb because I want this row minimal thing to be quite chill. We've got some hits. Got some kind of synth stabbies. I've got a random arpeggio. I've got the dub siren from Garage. I've just got a random pitched whistle going on. There's some vinyl noise. There's some percussion hits. A chord. I've got 2 chord choices here as well. I've got a Rhodes. Going through a filter, which is all on random. A little bit of bit crushing here and there. That's going to change every time I play it. If I find a good one, I might just sample it. I've got these just random melody notes. So every now and then it might select one of these 5 notes. That's an option. And then I've got this arpeggio, which I'm going to make one of my hooks. It's kind of a techno thing. It's actually an FM synth. So I'm going to make that one of my hooks because that's one of the more active elements. I have a single note arp here. So I'm thinking I might use that as a pickup, or we might just use a tiny section of it for one of the adding interests. I've got a held note for tension. And then I found some various vocal samples, so we might use a vocal. One is this. So that could act as a percussion pickup maybe. I'm not sure about a hook. But I did find these words I liked. The in the back room.
Back room. In the back room. In the back room.
Or the other part of that vocal was this move a little closer.
Move a little closer. We move a little closer. We move a little closer. We move a little closer.
And I've got, this might be equivalent of a kind of a cymbal. It's just a noise I added lots of reverb to. And then I have a tiny bit of white noise that I can filter for build-ups. And that's all of the elements. Probably not going to use all of them, but as you can see, I've got plenty of options. So let's get on with that. Okay, let's steal. So I'm going to start with my main drum groove. Probably leave the shakers till here. Let me start with the tom throughout the whole thing. And at 15, we'll bring in the sub and the shakers. To emphasize that, I might actually... So here's our DJ box of tricks. We've got a high-pass filter that removes the bass. I've just put 8 things together in a rack, so it's nice and easy. Let me show you what they are. So here's my cut. It's just that. Removing the low end. Slight bump, so we keep some kind of chest frequencies. Doesn't go too weak. I've actually removed some slight highs as well, so that when we drop without it, we get a little bit of the sizzle back. The polish at the top helps it drop a tiny bit better. There's a filter. It's just a low pass. Put a little bit more resonance on as it goes lower there. We've got a delay. On dotted 8th notes. That's the delay timing, dotted 8ths. This other kind of sloppy delay, which if you didn't know, it's just another delay, but you set it to very fast milliseconds instead of timing it to the grid. There's a flanger. Just using Ableton's built-in effects for now. Reverb build. What I call the smudge. I put a chopper in. That might come in handy on something like the vocal. So that's my DJ toolbox. So for the first 15 seconds, what I'm going to do is add the cut there on the master channel. Take all the low end out. Then when we hit it 15 seconds, now I think I remember Odd Mob adding a hit at 30 seconds. Yeah, there is a little hit. And we need to bring our hook in as well, don't we? So going to pick one of the noises from this selection. That one will do. Now, what's our main hook going to be? I think we'll take this vocal for now.
A little closer. We move a little closer.
So I'm going to start bringing that in, and we're going to filter it up. I'm going to grab a copy of my DJ tools, put it on the vocal group here. Right, let's filter. Now, we need to judge, is this too much at 15 seconds? The only reason I'm asking that is because our vocal is in a much lower range than the one on left to right. So I'm thinking we might need to fade this and have it properly come in at 30 seconds, really, just so it doesn't get in the way of the low end too much. And speaking of that, actually, I might just EQ out the super lows just in case it's got any clashing down there. That should be everything we need for the vocal. Oh, you only need one of those. Then we need our high held note for tension.
A little closer, we move. A little closer, we move. A little closer, we move.
Oh, also, I forgot. Yeah, at the end of every 8 bars, Odd Mob removes the sub. I'm going to have a longer one here, so we know the break's coming.
Closer, we move. A little closer, we move.
Now we run our main hook for a minute. Filter has to come back down. We're going to start adding delays. I might add a reverb as well. I don't think our hook is as interesting as his. Too low.
Move a little closer, we move. A little closer, we move.
We're going to start adding the delay already in the first 30 seconds.
Move a little closer, we move. 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 A little closer, we move.
Start adding some reverb.
A little closer, we move. 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 A little closer.
This needs to be very loud now, the delay.
A little closer, we move. A little closer, we move. A little closer, we move. A little closer, we move.
Yeah, we need to build some tension.
We move. A little closer, we move. A little closer, we move. A little closer, we move.
That reverb's definitely helping.
We move. A little closer, we move.
I'm going to put the high pass on as well. And then we're going to drop. So just before it drops, like Odd Mob did, we're going to remove our effects. It's like a foreshadowing.
Move a little closer, we move a little closer, we move a little closer, we move.
It's probably too fast. Let's do it there.
Move a little closer, we 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 move.
Okay, let's drop. So full beat in. Oh, I forgot our other bass. Actually, I'm going to leave that to come in only in the full drop. So then we get a nice change. And we're going to add that. We can pick one of our hits, but I'm going to take the bass dong. Let's run our hook.
Move a little closer, we 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 move.
We're going to need a hit of interest here. Add one. I think I'll take that. Might be a bit loud. And then we could choose the sub comes out here. I might just take a kick drum out. Just subtle things. Now we want some other hits. Bring the dong back. What else do we have? Let's have one of those. Oh, our percussion needs to pick up as well. We added the ride cymbal here, don't we? Let's add 4 of these. In fact, I'm going to swap those around. And what can this one be? That Lou. I want the chord, yeah, so. Little closer, we move, a 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 little closer. Cool. Just lots of little bits of interest. Okay, and then run the drums for 30, but we take the low end out at this section. 30 seconds. Now we're going to fade out our main hook. Actually, I don't think Odd Mob does fade his out. He adds that extra delay, doesn't he? So I'm just going to straight steal that idea. I've called it the blap. Resonant delay, I'm not sure what you want to call it.
Move a little closer, we 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 move a little.
I'm going to keep the tom in.
Move a little closer, we 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 move.
Let's get the delay going.
Move a little closer, we 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 move a little.
I will add more reverb again.
Little closer, we move.
That's going to be how we wash it out.
Little closer, we move a 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 little closer.
I'm going to fade it slightly. Let's try 6 decibels, something like that for now. I'm going to build the second hook in. So I want that to be that ARP thing, which is triggered from this MIDI. This thing. So let me add the DJ Tools box to that. Now I'm going to filter it in.
Move a little closer, we move a little closer, we move a little closer, we move a little.
I'm going to have to fade it too.
Move a little closer, we move a little closer, we move a little closer, we move a little closer.
Just hinting so you can hear something new is coming.
Move a little closer, little closer, we move a little closer, we move a little closer.
I'm going to add that resonant delay thing. Add the other delay, the dotted eighths delay. And then I think I'm going to stop the drums here. And then second drop. So we're going to take these drums. Actually, yes, I know what I'll do. I'll add that drum for the pickup. Keep the rise cymbal in. Let's bring all our basses back. But now with our second hook. Okay, it probably got too loud just before the build. And I want it to be a bit louder once it drops. That is now our main hook. This is hook 2. I want the vocal to wash out further, so let's just turn that down. I think I've gone a little too loud, but that's working. We need another hit. Let's pick a new one. Oh, I like that one. I'm just going to copy these over for now. And then whatever we choose to mix out with. We take a minute of drums, do lots of that. I will probably take our ARP here and fade it. Maybe filter, but fade's probably enough. We need to take some low end out just before the outro here. We can keep the sub for this section. I think we're going to roll that all the way through, but we will leave one kick drum out there. Whoops. I might fade those shakers out, just to keep it, again, simpler for whoever's mixing in. Maybe I'll start the fade there. And that's basically our arrangement done. Obviously, I can change details. Maybe I don't think our hook is as strong as Odd Mob, so
Move a little closer. We move a little closer. We move a little closer.
I'm not too sure if it's strong enough to hold for an entire minute. So I could reduce that to 30 seconds, or maybe I could just run some drums underneath.
Move a little closer. We move a little closer. We move a little closer. We move a little closer.
Just showing you some options. We're going to run these under a filter, and then we'll check if it still drops. It should do. It's mainly because I'm not on the correct drugs whilst making this. I can't judge this. Is it enough tension? Is it too much tension? I would probably have to try this out live.
Move a little closer. We move a little closer. We move a little closer. We move a little closer.
I won't let the filter open up all the way until we drop.
We move a little closer. We move
Some reverb build.
We move a little closer. 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 We move a little closer.
In fact, I'm going to mute this here.
A little closer. We move 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 a little closer. We move.
I like it. So there's our little row minimal thing, taking Odd Mob's arrangement. Now, like I say, if you've not got a vocal for your lead, you can just use whatever your lead hook is. And if you don't have a sub rumble for your bass, you would just put your bass part in there, whatever your main bass is. So we just take the equivalents in our track. We add interest where they add interest. We build where they build. We remove the low end where they remove the low end. All these decisions which a DJ which has gigged for a long time will be making instinctively at this point. We can take their experience and apply it to our own track. Ideally, we need to test this out live now, or hand it to a DJ that can. And that's us done. Okie dokie. That's all for today. Hopefully you learned something. If you did, you know what to do. Hit some buttons for me. There's also a link in the description to buy me a coffee if you feel so inclined. And until next week, I will see you in the comments. Bye-bye.